Making data-driven decisions is a critical strategy in most modern organizations. But how does data lead to critical business decisions? Data provides hard evidence of what's working and what's not. It helps spot patterns, trends over time, and suggests how to improve efficiency. But how effortlessly would you be able to do all this if you had volumes and volumes of data to study, analyze, and draw insights from? That's when data visualization tools comes in handy. Tableau is one of the most powerful BI tools for data visualization and data storytelling. Watch this video till the end to get introduced to unique capabilities of Tableau and different products in Tableau family. Learn how to install it, navigate through its interface with ease, and design your first Tableau dashboard without a hitch. Without any further ado, let's get started.
Tableau is an end-to-end tool, right? Right from connection to collaboration. Tableau easily is the most powerful, secure, and flexible end-to-end analytics platform for your data is what the definition says. And that is very true. Now, why do we call it as an end-to-end platform, right? So guys, when you talk about Tableau, it is not something that gives you temporary solutions or short-scaled solutions. When you talk about something like Tableau, it can serve your purposes, be it an individual user or an individual learner, or it can solve problems for enterprises as well. Now, when you talk about Tableau in particular, for that, it gives you a support when you talk about setting up your infrastructure. Now, something like an enterprise comes in and they say that I want to use Tableau. Now, for them, just going ahead and using the tool is not the solution. As an individual, you might say that, okay, I'll install this tool, I'll use it. If it does not work for me, I'll use something like that. But when you're talking about an organization, an enterprise, we are talking about a lot of data, a lot of money being invested, a lot of systems, a lot of analysts working on the data. Now, what happens in that situation is, since we have so much data that we are talking about, so much integrations we are talking about, we are also talking about a lot of software compliance coming into picture. So with Tableau, if you have to get in Tableau, you have to consider quite a few things like, would the software integrate with my existing infrastructure? Would I be able to train my resources to go ahead and use this infrastructure? Would it fall into the budget requirements and basically integrate with everything that is there with me, right? So when you have such questions, Tableau helps answer those questions. Basically, when you talk about setting it up in your organization, in your enterprise, Tableau offers support where the team basically comes in and helps you set up a server if required for your data, right? Apart from that, they also ensure that all the installations and all the training of your employees happen as per plan, right? So that whenever you want to use Tableau, an end-to-end solution is given to you. Now, this is an end-to-end solution from a consumer perspective, right? When you talk about an end-to-end analytics tool, right? From data transformation to basically going ahead and carrying out certain statistical analysis on your data, your Tableau takes care of everything that is required. And that is why Tableau is such a popular and an important tool. So by now, I hope that you've understood what Tableau is. If you talk about its features, you have apt visualizations. That means it gives you smooth and nice visualizations. The next point that you see here is automatic function, and both of these go hand in hand, your apt visualizations and automatic functions. Let me explain how this happens, right? So when you talk about apt visualizations, basically what is happening here is, with Tableau, there are quite a few automatic functions, drag and drop functions where you put forth your data, and Tableau is smart enough to understand that this is the piece of data that we have with us. Let's just go ahead and create this particular visualization for this individual. So if you put in like two different parameters that you want to compare, it would start by giving you a bar graph, right? Or give you a line graph, which basically falls under an X and Y axis, right? So since we are talking about two parameters, it gives you that direct comparison. So when you talk about something like Tableau and even other tools like Power BI as well, basically you get these features here where you can visualize your data with a lot of ease, and you have multiple automatic functions that basically understand that this is the data and this is what you need to do with it. It lets you get into the depth of the information, right? So when you talk about creating reports, creating visualizations, it might be easy for you to go ahead and create visualizations using something like Tableau. But as basically when you talk about presenting this data to your stakeholders, they might need detailed information. Every graph might not convey that information that they're looking for. So you might need to drill deeper into some of the concepts, some of the information, some of the data that you have with you. And with Tableau, you can do that with ease. How do we do that? This is something that we'll see in the demonstration part in the later half of the course. It also lets you connect to data with ease. Now, when you talk about a tool like Tableau, it connects to so many data sources, and it does that so readily and so easily that basically it becomes easier for you as an individual to just go ahead and choose a particular data source and get that data from that particular data source. There would be quite a few databases that can actually not connect to Tableau. In fact, I don't see any database that is out there that cannot connect to Tableau, at least the ones that I've used. I'm sure there would be some, but even if they're very less in number. So that is what Tableau is in a nutshell. I hope you've understood the basics of Tableau. Let's now go ahead and discuss some of the other components that Tableau has to offer to us. Let's try and understand how the Tableau architecture looks like, how the architecture of Tableau works. If you talk about Tableau architecture, there is not a lot of thought process to put into it, right? Firstly, we would be connecting to different data sources, as I've mentioned. So you are talking about taking in data, extracting data from different sources. Once that is there, you can move that data to a Tableau server. If you are talking about an enterprise level application, yes, you would move it to a Tableau server. And that is where, if required, if you have another database where you have security concerns, you can move your data using a gateway to that particular data center, right, where your data remains safe. So again, if you need to process that data through the gateway, you can again move it to your Tableau server or to your desktop, where you can actually go ahead and create reports or visualizations out of this data. So when you talk about architecture of Tableau, it follows the three important steps that are very crucial for business intelligence. Those steps are your data integration, your data processing, and data presentation. That means, again, basically you're taking in your data, right, from different sources, integrating it so that it basically amalgamates with your existing support tools, right? Then you process it. If required, you'd clean it. You would basically transform this data and then use it for visualization to present the meaningful information that you're trying to present out of this data. So that is what Tableau architecture is in a nutshell. Let us now go ahead and discuss some of the other pointers. Let's try and understand Tableau product family. Okay, so when we talk about Tableau product family, there are quite a few things that we have on our plate. You'd be getting some developer tools that are there. Apart from that, these are the standard products that Tableau offers. You have your Tableau Reader, you have your Tableau Public, you have your Tableau Server, you have Tableau Online as well. Let's try and understand them one by one. I'll first start with Tableau Public. I'll come to the Tableau Reader part, the latest or the last. So let's just go ahead and discuss Tableau Public first. So when you talk about Tableau Public, so basically when you talk about it, it is mostly used for users that want to optimize their costs, right? And that is why it's public, because it's available publicly, right? Then you have something called as your Tableau Server. So Tableau Server again is fairly important. So Tableau Server is specifically used to share your workbooks, your visualization data information that you create using your Tableau desktop. Okay. So if you have an organization wide goal and you want to keep your data more private than what it would be in your public Tableau public server, right? So you can use your Tableau server, which is very organization specific, right? Let's talk about Tableau Online. Now, right from the name itself, you can make out that it is a tool that is online, right? So when you talk about Tableau Online, it's a sharing tool offered by Tableau that lets you share your data online. It functions very similar to what a Tableau server does. But when you talk about the data, again, the data is hosted on the cloud and it is maintained by the Tableau groups. So it's not as generic as public, but it is generic in nature. It is less secure compared to your Tableau server, but more secure compared to your Tableau public. Okay. And then you have something called as Tableau Reader, which again is a Tableau tool that basically lets you read the files that are there. So when you talk about Tableau Reader, it is a reader tool. So you need to have it installed on the user system or on the user device. Even Tableau mobile products are there that support Tableau Reader features, where you can read or take a look at the visualizations that are there. You can interact with the visualizations that are there. But understand an important point. You cannot create or change the existing dashboards or reports that have been shared with you, or dashboards rather, right? So what that means is somebody who has created a dashboard or a report will have to share that with you, and you can access that using Tableau Reader, but cannot actually go ahead and edit or work on those resources. So that is what a Tableau product family looks like. As I mentioned, there are other things. You have Tableau developer tools, right, which basically let you create dashboards or your desktop devices, right? You have certain sharing tools as well, which let you share your data, right? So some of them we've discussed here. And when you talk about the desktop version of things, it also has subtypes, right? You have your Tableau desktop personal, you have your Tableau desktop professional, which have different features. So this is what Tableau product family looks like. Let's move ahead and discuss how to go ahead and install Tableau. So the Tableau installation part is fairly simple. You do not have to go ahead and put in a lot of thought process into it, right? Let me quickly show you where you can get the installation details, and I'm sure you can go ahead and do that. So for you to install Tableau, all you have to do is type Tableau, right? And I'm sure you'll get all the information. You see Tableau products, Tableau desktop. Okay, let's look for Tableau installation first. Yeah. Install Tableau desktop, right? And to do that, you'll have to come here, right, and get all the information here. So basically what they'll ask you to do is sign up for you to download Tableau, and there's a reason for it. Tableau desktop, yes, there you go. So there should be an installation link somewhere. These are the steps by which you can install Tableau, right? Or I might have missed where we can get okay, we don't have a Tableau in download guide here. So this is an installation guide. You can take a look at it. Just type Tableau download rather, and they should help you download Tableau desktop. You see, you enter your email ID here and the file would be given to you. Okay, let me see if I have any demo ID with me where I can go ahead and put it. There you go. You can see it's a 500 MB file, right? You can go ahead and download that. I'm not gonna do that. I have it installed, so I'm gonna just go ahead and cancel the download process, right? Why do you want to download and install it again? So come here, download this file and go back to the previous page, and you'll have a detailed information as to how to go ahead and install Tableau on your system. You see, and it's a very easy process, a few clicks, so you'll have Tableau installed on your system. and you won't have to put in a lot of effort. You see, step-by-step information is given. All you have to do is come here and download it. Once you do that, it's like a 2-3 step process. Install, next, and you're done. And you should be having Tableau up and running. And this is how the interface of Tableau would look like for you. Okay. Continue. Sign in. You'll be needing an email ID, guys, when you sign in. The reason for that is, when you install something like Tableau, it is a licensed tool. Even though it is freely available, it is freely available for a limited duration. So you can sign up for a learner account and you can download it, and it supports majority of the features when it comes to visualization. So once you have that free account with you, you can go ahead and do a visualization using it. So that is why having an account, an email ID to sign into this tool would be beneficial for you. So make sure you go ahead and download this particular tool, and once you do that, you would be more than good to go ahead and get started. So this is what Tableau installation is all about. I'm sure that we don't need to spend a lot of time doing it. So let us now go ahead and understand Tableau data types. Now when you talk about data types are nothing but the type of a variable. Now when you talk about variables, these are nothing but containers that hold data, right? If you know what programming jargons are, you'd know what data types are. But in simple words, these are nothing but the type associated with a variable that holds data, right? So when you talk about Tableau, all the data in Tableau basically will have one or the other type of data type associated with it, right? So if the data is in the form of numbers, right, as I've mentioned, something like 482 or maybe 1.1 or 1.32, right, etc. So these are nothing but your numeric data types, right? Your data can be text or string in nature, right? So it can be something like, hey, hello, welcome to the course, right? Which is nothing but a string collection of words, or it can be a single word like hello. So which is again textual data, and the data type here is text in nature or string in nature. Okay. Then you have your geographic data. So when you talk about geographic data, it can be something like your state in USA, like Chicago, or a state in Maharashtra, or in India, like Maharashtra, or like Karnataka, right? Which also has cities like Bengaluru. In Maharashtra, you have Pune, Mumbai. Now these are geographic locations. And when you put forth this kind of data, it is called as geographic data in nature. Any geospatial data basically falls under your geographic data, right? Now it can be your date and time or date kind of a thing. Say for example, 18th August 1892, right? This again is nothing but a date. Now if you say 18th August 1892 5 p.m. Now this is your date and type kind of a, date and time kind of a data type, right? And then you have your Boolean, which is nothing but your true and false kind of data type, right? So when you talk about true and false kind of data type, it falls under Boolean data type. Again, when you talk about Tableau, your numeric data is basically has hash attached to the data type, or basically it is preceded by a hash. Similarly, for text and string, you have ABC with A capital, right? For geographic, you have that globe sign. And when you talk about date and time, it has watch and a calendar. When you talk about your date, it just has the calendar. For Boolean, you have T/F written. So this is how the data types, or this is how the data types in Tableau are represented. As we get into the demo part, for this course, I would basically go ahead and show you these data types that are associated with the data set or the sample data set that we are going to use in the demo part. But by now, I hope the different data types that Tableau has to offer to you are clear to you people. Okay, so till time we've seen how to actually go ahead and install Tableau, and we've also talked about Tableau data types. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go ahead and show you how to go ahead and work around with Tableau interface, how to connect it with data sources, or how to import data into Tableau. Okay, so let's do that. Let's get familiar with Tableau interface. So as we know, this is how the Tableau interface looks like. Now you know that it is a desktop version. As I've already mentioned, when you talk about a desktop version of Tableau, it is meant for audiences that basically want to learn Tableau. So this is a learner's version. So it has an expiry of 14 days when you install it. So this got installed yesterday for the demo sake. So this has an expiry of 14 days. Once you exceed that, I think it still continues to work. I've had an experience using this, but that is what the standard expiry is. After that, probably you'll have to either renew it, or maybe if you're lucky enough, you would be able to continue using it. So this is how the interface of Tableau looks like, okay, to start with. And so if you talk about the ways to connect Tableau to a data source, there are plenty of them. Once you connect to it, we'll get to see the interface. But when it comes to Tableau, first thing that you do is you actually go ahead and import the data, and only then you move to the interface where you can actually go ahead and create visualizations. So you can see when you talk about connecting to different data sources, Tableau gives you plenty of options, right? So when you talk about these options, you can connect to Tableau server, right? You can connect to files like Excel, text, JSON, Microsoft Access, PDF files, spatial files, statistical files, and more. So the options are more. I mean, to be very frank, I've mostly used text CSVs or maybe Excel files. So that is what people mostly use, right? But again, if you're connecting to a server, you never know, you could be having different files as well. So you have the option of choosing those. When it comes to servers, you can connect to Microsoft SQL Server, right? MySQL, right? You can connect to Oracle, Amazon Redshift, which is an Amazon database service, which probably helps you spawn database instances. That is the service. So you can connect to that database service as well, so that you can take in data if it is there. Or you can just scroll down, and if you are somebody who's new, you can just go ahead and open one of these data sets and start working on them. So if you connect, or if you or if you just click on Microsoft Excel, it would open a tab for you where you can actually go ahead and import a particular Excel sheet. As simple as that. For this demo, I'm going to go ahead and use a sample data store. So I'm going to keep it open. So when you do that, when you import the data set, you can see right away the data has been imported. Now again, there would be an option of loading and transforming, but since this is an inbuilt data set, it is already clean. You don't have to work around it. So you have all the details in here, right? So you can see that on the left hand pane, you have all the details about what is what, right? What are the different segments that you have, right? So you have all these attributes, all these columns with you, right? And there are certain measures as well. We'll discuss what measures are and stuff, but that's for later part. But this is how the importing of data looks like, right? Post this is done, you can go ahead and again, if you want, you can connect to different sources here, right? If you want to connect to a new data source, you can do that. Even that is an option for you, okay? And on these right hand side, or on the right hand side, you have the option of creating visualizations, right? So these are the by default visualizations that Tableau offers to you. So once you select one of these, right, and open it, you have the option of choosing visualizations for it. You can see you can choose the visualization for it, so you can do that. For now, let's just take a look at the interface. Here you can see, if you hover down here, you'll see that there's an option of creating a new worksheet. Worksheet is nothing but a sheet where you can create or put forth your visuals or visualizations, right? And then you have an option of going ahead and creating a dashboard where you can go ahead and put forth your different visuals from different sheets. We'll talk about dashboards as we move further. Do not worry about that. There's an option to create a story as well. So in the later half of the course, where we are talking about demo or we are getting into the details of Tableau, this is where we'll explore these two concepts. But for now, that you do not have knowledge about dashboards, probably these won't make a lot of sense for you. So this is how the interface looks like. This is where you put in the marks, as in what kind of visualization you want. Do you want to add any color and stuff for it? You can choose all these things here, right? And when you talk about this show me option, you can minimize this, right? So if there are other informations, other details that you have, when you start visualizing, those would be displayed here. You can scroll down here if you want to, right? And again, then there are other options here that are very pane specific or very visual specific in nature. So we'll come to details on those topics, but what we'll do first is we'll probably go ahead and discuss some of the important concepts, and post that we'll go ahead and get into the details of the demo. One last thing that we need to discuss here is I talked about different data types that we have in the previous bit. If you talk about those data types, you can figure out those data types here, right? You can see that there's ABC written here, indicating that this is your textual or basically your string kind of data, right? This is order date. I mentioned your date always comes in with a calendar. If there was time mentioned in the data set, this would have had a clock here, right? And again, ship date is in the calendar form. If you see, these are the geospatial data or the geographic data, and it is represented by globes, right? So again, your data would look different in each case. And if there are numbers, those would be represented by okay, are we suggesting that there's no number here? That's very difficult to believe, but yeah, there's here, right? You see the hash sign indicates that there are numbers as well, right? And this is basically a function that is being used here. When you say profit, there's a formula that gets in, and since we are binning it, we see a different sign here altogether. Okay, so again, your data, depending upon the data type that you have, would look different to you. And this is how the interface of Tableau looks like. This is how you connect to different data sources, be it Tableau, be it Power BI. And I hope that gives you some idea about it. Let us now move ahead and talk about Tableau dashboards. Now, before I actually go ahead and talk about Tableau dashboards, I would like to first talk about reports and visuals in Tableau, right? So when you talk about Tableau, basically what it does is it classifies its data into different types. First, you have your visualizations or visuals, as we call it, right? So let's assume that you want to represent profit and sales for a few years, right? So you'd be having a particular kind of graph that represents this data. Now these graphs are called as your visuals or visualizations. Now, when you basically go ahead and put forth these visuals or visualizations together, we are talking about building a report. Now, a report could have multiple visuals in it that concern a particular topic. Let me give you an example here. Okay, so when you talk about, let's say we have some marketing data with us, or we have data for a marketing team. Now in a marketing team, you have like 15 people and you want to create their monthly report. So what are the parameters that you'd be focusing on? Let's assume that there are certain KPIs, right? Or there are certain things that these teams or this team in particular does regularly. Say for example, they basically have 2 hours of basically client interaction, right? 2 hours of basically some brand building or something like that, right? XYZ. Now I'm not going to give you any example about that, but let's assume that. So what about if we are to put forth this data together? Now, when you create a report, you could be having different charts or a particular set of charts that represent all this information at one place, right? So basically this is nothing but a report where you have a particular data source from which you are creating multiple visuals that concern that particular data set, right? So this is what a report would look like. Now, when you talk about dashboard, dashboards are nothing but think of it as a canvas or a single page, also known as canvas, as I've just mentioned, as you can see on the definition on the screen, right? It is a single page or a canvas where basically you can go ahead and put forth visualizations from different reports. Now you might ask, as in this is nothing but a big report, right? The fact that you can actually go ahead and pick up data from different reports, but try and understand the minute or the granular difference that is here. Okay, when you talk about a dashboard, it is used to convey a longer story or show you a bigger picture, right? Let me give you an example. Okay, let's assume that you have Harry Potter movies. Okay. Now, when you talk about Harry Potter movies, each of these movies have some peculiar information about them. So if I'm creating visualizations to represent movie information, and I have I have certain set of visualizations that concern every movie. So every movie's data would fall under a report. But let's assume that I want to draw a picture or a storyline that connects all these movies together, right? Some important pieces of information that connects these movies together. In this case, I would be creating a report, right? So what I will do is I will pick up some important pointers or some factors that are either common or different for all these movies and put them on a single page and connect the dots, right? So if I can do that, this single page or this canvas is called as a dashboard. A report, as I've already mentioned, is a detailed information, can have many visualizations, but that concern that particular data set or a domain. In this case, that particular movie. Let's assume that a report has information about all the things that have happened in part 1 of this Harry Potter series. Similarly, for part 2, we have report 2, and similarly for how many parts? We have 8 parts, right? So for 8 parts, we have like 8 reports. But I do not want all that information. I want something that just helps me build stories and some important pieces of information from every report. So I can pick that up and put it on a dashboard. A dashboard is where you can interact with the data but cannot change it. If you have to change it, you'll have to go back to the visual that was there in the report and then change it. So that is what a dashboard is. Dashboard is nothing but something that you notify people to, right? Now, again, coming back to the office example, let's assume that just like the marketing team, I have n number of other teams in the company. As a owner or as a stakeholder, I do not want all the nitty-gritties that are there in the individual reports of every team, right? Just like we talked about the marketing team. So what we can do is we can pick up some of the features, some key metrics that the stakeholder wants to look into. And in that case, I can create or have those visuals pinned onto a dashboard where I'm building a story for the entire company with information in little amounts for every team that draws a bigger picture. So that is what a dashboard is. As you can see in the definition, it is a single page, also known as a canvas, that uses visualizations to tell a particular story. It is limited to one page and a point note, or a point to note rather, is that a good dashboard contains only the important elements of that story and not everything. As I've mentioned, you might not need, or you will not need, all the information that concerns a particular team or a particular part of the movie, the pointers that we were discussing, right? But instead some key pointers, right? Or to give you a clearer picture, let's assume we'll stick to the Harry Potter example. What are the key things that happened in these movies, right? So if you watched a Harry Potter movie, this example would make a lot more sense to you. Okay. So when you talk about the first part, the Sorcerer's Stone was the main thing there, which Harry Potter got and Voldemort did not, right? So that could be a key part. The second movie, if you talk about it, we got to know that Harry Potter was not the true heir to the Slytherin house, right? Again, an important point. So maybe pointers like these, if you can like bring them together, connect them and build a story, you can pick this important information from every report and put it on a dashboard. That is what a dashboard is for you. I hope by now you've understood what a dashboard is.
And with that, we have reached the end of this dynamic video. We have delved into Tableau, grasping its importance in transforming raw data into compelling visual stories. You have explored the Tableau product family, understanding the unique features each product offers. The installation process is now a breeze for you. You have mastered handling various data types supported by Tableau and navigating the interface with ease. Creating your own interactive dashboard is now within your skill set, enabling you to visualize trends and insights effectively. These skills allow you to turn complex data into clear, memorable narratives. For more informative learning videos, subscribe to our channel and stay tuned.